Istanbul law courts, where he was briefly held at the court cell. Now, he was, however, not charged due to lack of some documents. He was taken back to the Muthaiga police station and then driven to the Directorate of Criminal Investigations headquarters. The blogger, who is being held over his social media posts on the Al-Shabaab attack on the KDF camp in Somalia, was arrested on Saturday night at his home in Donholm by detectives who searched his house before he was detained overnight at the Muthaiga police station. Yesterday, he was taken to the Directorate of Criminal Investigations headquarters, where he was grilled for 4 hours and was later taken back to the Muthaiga police station, where he spent his second night in police custody. Yassin has been posting information and pictures on the Al-Shabaab attack on his Twitter account and his Facebook page, and also with on his blog. Other bloggers, including Robert Alai, have been summoned to the Directorate of Criminal Investigations headquarters. Now, moving on to another top story this afternoon, and it's in regard to some politics now. And women in Kisumu County have strategized on how to mobilize locals who have not registered for identity cards to come out and register. Party officials led by Rosa Buyu from the Kisumu County branch say women are better placed to reach out to everyone in the county. Buyu says they will also flash out those without voters' cards to come out and register in the month of February, when IEBC rolls out the voters' registration. While speaking at Kisumu Central ODM office, where she met all the women party leaders in Kisumu County, Buyu says Raila Odinga failed to ascend to the power in 2013 because of low voter registration.
Key areas we have identified is most women are not empowered. We are trying to make them understand why they need to vote in their leaders. And we are trying to make them understand why they need ID. Apart from voter registration, they also need, we have land and property ownership when they're widowed. We also have certain initiatives that are happening in the community.
Part of this exercise, because you realize some of the mamas cannot go out and walk long distances, but the women must take the drive, because the youth are their children. So when they go back to their wards, they must engage and involve the youth in this exercise. But we will also be having a similar exercise for the youth. What I want to say is this is just beginning in Kisumu County, and it's going to go into all the 47 counties of this country. You really have to tell me if we will not have increased our numbers by over 70%, because we are going to do that.
The fourth meeting of the fourth session of the Third Assembly of the East Africa Legislative Assembly is underway in Arusha, Tanzania, and will run until the 5th of next month. Among the agendas to be discussed in the volatile situation in Burundi. The Assembly is to be presided over by the Speaker, retired Honorable Daniel F. Kidega. Also on the agenda will be discussions on the EAC Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Bill 2013, as well as reports emanating from various committees following deliberations with key stakeholders in the integration process. Well, let's now join Carol Nderi, who is in Arusha, Tanzania.
We are at the East African Community Headquarters in Arusha, Tanzania, for the East African Legislative Assembly sittings that are expected to continue for 2 weeks starting today. The spokesperson for EALA, Bobby Odiko, says that matters on Burundi will be a focal point of discussion during the sittings, and already the government of Burundi has sent its representative who will give their submissions before the Assembly today and the subsequent days. Today's sitting, chaired by the Speaker of the Assembly, started with a minute of silence for the fallen Kenya Defence Forces soldiers who were attacked in Somalia, with the East African Legislative Assembly saying that Africa should unite and support this cause, support the soldiers that are on a peacekeeping mission in Somalia. Conflict Resolution Committee will be listening to submissions from representatives of the Burundi government in regard to the humanitarian crisis that has continued to claim lives, over 400 lives, and more than 200,000 people displaced. So throughout the day, on this very first day of the sittings, for the 2 weeks that are to come, starting this week and next week. Today, then, representatives of the Burundi government will appear before the Conflict Resolution Committee to give their submissions in regard to the strife and the turmoil that has continued to plague Burundi over the last few months.
May their souls rest in peace. Thank you, sir. It's a very important sign, an indication by the government of Burundi that they are committed to working within the regional framework and use the East African Community framework to deal with the challenges the country is going through. And it's also a big vote of confidence to the institution of the people, the East African Legislative Assembly, that it is working hard to provide solution where the people needs it most. So we are very grateful to the government of the Republic of Burundi for responding with a big delegation to come and join us in the search for lasting peace for the Republic of Burundi.
Well, from the East African Legislative Assembly, I am Carol Nderi here in Arusha, Tanzania, and we will continue updating you on the sessions that are being conducted here at the Assembly regarding matters East Africa.
Right, we'll be getting more details from Carol Nderi as that particular meeting takes off in the coming days. Now, moving on to another story that is developing back home, and it's in regard to the National Transport and Safety Authority that, of course, was supposed to begin a crackdown on Matatus with noisy exhausts, graffiti, and so much more. We'll now join our reporter on the ground, Zinzi Kibiku, who has been following this particular story since morning. Zinzi, thank you for joining us. If you can hear me, maybe you can tell us, has this particular crackdown kicked off? Earlier on when we spoke, you mentioned to us that there was no action on the ground, especially from the authority. What do you tell us? What can you tell us right now?
Well, Betty, when we began off the day, we were at Donholm Roundabout. At Donholm Roundabout, it was business as usual. Shuttles that were there, majority of them, in fact all of them, they had no graffiti whatsoever and they had no exhaustion pipes. But so for them, they weren't affected at all. But after Donholm, we then moved to Buruburu area where we met one Shema, who is also a Matatu owner there. We found him removing the logo of his circle because according to NTSA, it needs to be bigger, around 8 inches long. And he told us that for him, his Matatu, or his bus, hadn't left that location. He has already felt the pinch on day one of the crackdown, Betty.
Right. You also mentioned that, the Matatu owners are complaining that, this particular crackdown will have severe effects on their business. Maybe you can tell us more about that. What impact will it have on their business if they remove this artwork and all the things that they've been asked to remove from their Matatus?
All right, Betty, earlier on I spoke to Nicholas, that was Shem's business manager from Buruburu. He told me it costs around 600,000 just to put graffiti on one bus. And now, just to get more in depth on the financial burden that NTSA will have, I want to bring in Stephen Matthew. He's operational manager for the Umoina. Stephen, thank you so much for your time. Talk about the financial burden that NTSA has on the track for your business.
It's really hard for us when we put in a lot of money to do all this graffiti, like the vehicles that are here. We spend almost 100,000 shillings for one vehicle on graffiti. The lighting system, we spend like almost 120,000 in doing all the lighting system. So we are wondering, removing the horns, please to consider, because we are spending so much money and we are spending money on vehicles. Yes.
Earlier on, I talked to one of your business partners. They told me that some of these buses here are on a bus loan, for majority of them. Do you think that removing the graffiti, what financial burden will it have, removing the graffiti that the NTSA is talking about?
Yes, it will have a very big financial impact on us, because youths like these vehicles. And most of our clients, they like old Matatus that have graffiti. Are the ones who are doing the graffiti. They are being paid almost 100,000 shillings to do one vehicle of graffiti. So we are employing so many youths around the country. So why, if this graffiti is removed, all these, where are they going to go? You see?
All right. Steve, before I let you go, don't you not think, though, that it's got to the point where maybe you and your colleagues from other circles need a bit of discipline?
Right, so that's it for part 1 of KTN News Desk. Thank you so much for watching. Part 2 continues on the KTN News channel. I'm Betty Okari. Have a lovely afternoon.